Ladies and gentlemen, on the takeoff roll, please welcome Lieutenant Evan Goss and Lieutenant Robert Dolan and your United States Navy's FA-18 Super Hornet. Squints and Mac will now reposition for the dirty roll, slowing down to less than 200 miles an hour from the left. They will deploy the landing gear and flaps as they approach show center in the landing configuration. As they approach center point, they'll pitch up and roll the aircraft 360 degrees with the landing gear still extended. Inbound now from the left, the FA-18 Super Hornet and the Rhino Dirty Roll. After climbing through 4,000 feet, Lieutenant Goss and Lieutenant Dolan will perform a one-half Cubanate maneuver, roll upright and demonstrate the Rhino's incredible pitch authority with a 60-degree nose-up maneuver. The Super Hornet is unique in its ability to operate at slow speeds and high angles of attack. The flight control computers allow the aircraft to precisely position the aircraft when and where the aircrew wants it. Observe to the left as the aircraft rotates nearly 180 degrees while in a nearly flat attitude in this maneuver named the Flat Pirouette. The Super Hornet's engines produce over 44,000 pounds of thrust while an afterburner. This allows the aircraft to sustain 8 times the force of gravity in a very tight turn radius. Whether in a dogfight or avoiding surface-to-air threats, the ability of the Super Hornet to turn in a tight space gives it a tremendous tactical advantage. Inbound now from the left, it's the Rhino and the minimum radius turn. As they complete the MRT, Lieutenant Goss and Lieutenant Dolan will execute a vertical tail stand pushover and proceed outbound for the next maneuver. Lieutenant Goss and Lieutenant Dolan are now setting up for a high-speed pass. During this maneuver, the aircraft will approach speeds of nearly Mach 1, or the speed of sound. You may even notice a buildup of white vapor around the fuselage as they flirt with the sound barrier. As Squints and Mac pass show center, they'll be traveling at a speed of nearly 700 miles per hour. Vegas on your feet from the right and get ready for some incredible noise and the Super Hornet's high-speed pass. After the completion of the aileron roll, the crew was quickly performing a vertical reposition to bring the jet towards show center. Entering the maneuver at 350 knots, the air crew will pull the jet into the vertical and roll the canopy towards the crowd as they select full afterburner and enjoy a very comfortable -3G pushover as they perform the vertical pirouette. As they pull the nose back up, watch the aircraft as it swaps from nose high to nose low, and they point the jet back towards the ground. The air crew is now setting up for a maneuver known as the square loop. Selecting afterburner as the jet approaches show center, the crew will rapidly reposition the nose 4 times while flying a square path throughout the sky. Inbound now from the left, it's the Super Hornet and the square loop. Ladies and gentlemen, this next maneuver is an air crew favorite. As the Rhino now approaches from the left, Lieutenant Goss and Lieutenant Nolan will accelerate the aircraft to 250 miles an hour at a height of just 500 feet above the ground. As they approach show center this time, they'll roll the aircraft inverted, reduce the power to idle, and hold a level attitude. Inbound from the left, it is the Super Hornet and the inverted whisper pass. Lieutenant Goss and Lieutenant Dolan are now setting up for a high alpha pass. This maneuver will showcase the incredible slow speed characteristics of the Super Hornet. In air-to-air combat, sometimes the aircraft that flies the slowest has the best tactical advantage. Few other aircraft in the world would maneuver at such slow speeds and nose-high attitudes. And with 2 flight control systems aiding the flight crew, the 40,000-pound FA-18 Super Hornet remains completely controllable at less than 100 miles an hour. Squints and Mac will come through and demonstrate a high alpha or high angle of attack pass. And during this maneuver, they'll be flying at just over 115 miles an hour, holding a 25-degree nose-up position. Ladies and gentlemen, from your right, the high alpha pass. We take this opportunity to go up live to the cockpit with both Squints and Mac to see just how slow they get going. Lieutenant Goss and Lieutenant Dolan will exit the maneuver with a maximum muscle climb, and they will soon roll the jet and set up for the next maneuver. As the Rhino approaches from the left, the aircrew will now demonstrate the incredible pitch authority of the Super Hornet. And as they approach, they'll roll the aircraft 90 degrees, quickly pull away from the crowd, and showcase the ability of the aircraft to change direction very rapidly. The crew is now setting up for another high-speed pass from the right. Watch as they approach at nearly 700 miles an hour, just shy of the speed of sound. Ladies and gentlemen, the Super Hornet that you see here today is actually one used to train pilots at Strike Fighter Squadron 122, based at Naval Air Station Lemoore in California. Squints and Mac serve as instructors, teaching new air crew how to employ the Super Hornet. At this time, get your cameras ready as Squints and Mac reposition for the photo pass. The aircraft will pass show center a 90-degree angle bank turn at 300 feet and 650 miles an hour. It takes many talented and dedicated young men and women to maintain, fix, and fly these aircraft. Please help us thank the entire Flying Eagles maintenance team and the maintenance personnel here at the show today. We want to say thanks to ADC Leclerc, 81 Laura, 82 Kamara, AME2 Lowman, and AE3 Fields, AM2 Holmes, and AT3 Payne, our Flying Eagles maintenance team. And if you look out directly in front of us over the mountains, you'll see a lot of rocks. The Super Hornet completing the sneak pass from behind, just shy of the speed of sound. We are very thrilled to host the West Coast Rhino demonstration team. This is one of several show sites on their North American and international tour this year. Their next show site will be that of Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni in Japan here in just a couple of weeks. Setting up now, here's the carrier brake. The job of a naval aviator is not complete until the aircraft is back aboard its floating home. To approach the aircraft carrier is often one of the most dangerous parts of a naval aviator's mission. Landing their aircraft at 130 miles an hour and just on a few hundred feet of floating steel is extremely challenging and a great matter of pride. At 500 feet, like we've seen just a couple of moments ago, the pilot will overfly the ship and execute a 180-degree reversal turn, allowing the aircraft to bleed airspeed and quickly extend the landing gear, flaps, and the tail hook. This method allows aircraft to quickly be sequenced into the downwind for landing. Even though aircraft carriers are some 1,100 feet long, they appear from the air as small as a postage stamp, and in order to land at an area 1/10 the size of a normal runway, carrier aviators must touch down between 4 wires stretched across the deck of the ship. In order to accomplish this, they use an optical landing system known as the ball, and during the final approaches of the approach, the landing system officers, or paddles, work together as a team to get the aircraft safely on deck. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the United States Navy, we thank you for allowing us to demonstrate the flying capabilities of the Super Hornet. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for the crew, Lieutenant Evan Goss and Lieutenant Robert Dolan in the Super Hornet, the FA-18. Nothing better than having one of the Navy's top guns of naval aviation represented here at the 2025 Aviation Nation Air Show. Hey, we want to extend a very big hello to all of you down at the Air Show Network VIP experience, including our friends at the Flightline Club and also our premium box seats. And we want to make sure that you're all having a good time. And if you've got a seat, we do kindly ask that you sit in your area so all of your fine friends and family who are around can have a nice view. And of course, you too can experience the Air Show in great comfort with the VIP experience from the Air Show Network. The Flightline Club offering some comfortable reserved seating with your own table of 2 or 4 seats directly on the flight line, complete with a complimentary lunch buffet and beverages all day as well. Both the Flightline Club and the premium box seats offer come and go access all day, and great seats are still available. You can get your tickets at aviationnationlv.com or by visiting the entrance of those locations with the blue feathered flags. Well, right now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time that we change up the pace as we go from high-performance afterburning aircraft to one of the heavy lifters of the United States Air Force, and this being the newest aero refueler for the USAF. It is the Boeing KC-46 Pegasus. It is on the takeoff roll now.
Space here and stuff to see in every single corner as we watch the takeoff of our opening ceremonies bird right there. And they do have a tram that runs from one end of the air show to the other. So if you're tired of walking, you got little kids, you can catch that tram and make mobility a little bit easier.
Gorgeous sight as a C-130 takes to the skies here in Nevada. The air show about ready to kick off opening ceremonies. Of course, General Sullivan and Chief Trickey probably had to hustle over.
They did. They're offering opening ceremony remarks, so I'm glad we got them when we did. Dan, how many times have you taken a ride on a bird like that?
A couple. I've actually jumped out of that thing a couple times, too. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's why I got old man knees, though. That's, you know.
Definitely. It is a cool ride and so much cool stuff that you're going to see here at Aviation Nation 2025 as we get ready to kick off for showtime. A jam-packed schedule all day long. You've got Red Bull Air Force. You've got the Commemorative Air Force, which is basically a flying museum, if you will. So many things to see. And then, of course, the show will end this afternoon with an hour and 15-minute show with the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds. Just incredible every time I see it.
I know you just like the music.
The music is my favorite part. Music is my favorite part. I love it when the Thunderbirds take over the playlist there.
As you get another crew, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the 2nd Audiovisual Squadron out of Hill, bringing you the great pictures all day long. You're seeing it right here, but they are going to be on the cameras for 2 entire days.
Yeah, and it truly gives you a front row seat, right? I mean, you're going to experience it. If you come out here to Aviation Nation, you're going to feel it in your gut. You feel it in your bones when some of these aircraft pass by and take off. But truly, there isn't a better seat in the house than watching this show put on by the amazing 2nd Audiovisual Squadron out of Hill Air Force Base, Utah. So big thanks to them. They have got airmen up and down this ramp all over Nellis Air Force Base, bringing you these absolutely incredible pictures from Aviation Nation.
Readiness and lethality on full display. You know, we do air shows a lot of times to not only show the lethality and readiness of the Air Force, but also to inspire the next generation. So just want to give a shout out if you're looking for more information.
What could I do if I joined the Air Force? And as the C-130 flies overhead right now here at Show Center, what a beautiful sight.
Looks like the tail flash was DM, your old stop.
And we probably have it in the Air Force. You know, I don't think, if you don't have any connection to the military, you maybe don't realize just how many opportunities you can have joining the Air Force. So again, if you're thinking about it, go to airforce.com. We are also streaming live on airforce.com this weekend. So big thanks to Air Force Recruiting Service for hosting us on airforce.com.
Shout out Miriam.
And also Nellis Air Force Base's Facebook page, all those local Las Vegas News Channel apps, as well as we watch the C-130 take its laps right here around Nellis Air Force Base in the opening ceremonies of Aviation Nation 2025.
Gorgeous temperatures, 68 degrees or so right now.
Sure.
I love it. Having a good time. You see the shot from the flight line. We've got cameras all over the place.
We really do. F-22 Raptor right there. You're going to see that demo team later. Man, there is nothing like seeing I know, you know, General Sullivan's F-16 guy. I love the Thunderbirds, but there really is nothing like seeing that 5th generation aircraft take to the skies. It looks like something out of science fiction. It really does.
Truly a multi-role fighter, from air-to-air and air-to-ground capabilities in the F-22, as the C-130 still rolling around here. And I'm just taking a look at the ramp. Crowd still rolling in. I mean, it's a process to get on the base. As Caitlin said, you got to pack your patience a little bit, but once you're here, you're going to have a great time. I'm getting hungry. I saw those churros over there. I don't know. I'm getting a little hungry. It's almost lunchtime, as it looks like maybe we're about to have some action out of the C-130 here. We're getting set for the national anthem from what we're being told. And the back end of that C-130 is actually open. That's super cool.
Like Dan said, you know, people jump out of that airplane. So not me, of course, but Dan.
Why would you jump out of a perfectly
good airplane?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, really.
It does not. It does not. So we are getting ready to kick off festivities here. Like we mentioned before, Misty Blues not able to jump this morning due to the high winds here in the Vegas Valley, but we're hoping those winds are going to calm down the rest of the weekend. We are expecting tomorrow to be significantly less breezy, so hopefully Misty Blues will be able to jump tomorrow.
Yeah, there's also another day of the show, so luckily that's the case. It's not supposed to be as windy from what I understand tomorrow, so that will be a good thing, at least for anybody jumping out of the back of Perfectly Safe. aircraft.
Absolutely. Misty Blues being an all-woman skydiving team, so that's a cool feature of them. We've got a lot of women aviators out here this weekend as well, so that's definitely interesting, and we love to see everybody that comes out. We have civilian acts that come out. It's not just military, so you're going to see Bill Stein do his air demonstration, which is just... Dan and I were watching it during practice. It's insane.
And I think later today we're actually going to have footage from inside some of these aircraft, including Bill Stein's.
Very cool.
Vicky Benzine is here.
P-51 Plum Crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I know that's Dan's favorite, so.
Yeah, the Covington Slayer jet car thing is here. That's cool.
It's very cool. You've got a Red Bull Air Force as well that's going to perform.
I have not seen them perform in a long time, so that'll be pretty cool as well. They do, I don't know, if you watch them on YouTube, they do some pretty crazy stuff.
They do. And all services represented here at Aviation Nation as well. So you can get up close and personal. The U.S. Navy is out here. They've got a trailer.
It's an narrator.
All right.
And right now we're going to go to the Air Boss for opening ceremonies.
To air refueling for the Mission to Combat Search and Rescue. It's one of the Air Force's newest variants of the mighty Hercules platform and is among one of the longest implementations that the C-130 of any cargo transport aircraft in history, with the production line still going strong to this day. The pilots flying for you today are that of Major Jonathan Kodiak Ford and Captain Kevin Raid Rivera. The Combat Systems Officer is Captain Joshua Knife Mannix, and the Loadmaster on board is Technical Sergeant Josh Trapp Nothi. As our HC-130 Combat King 2 aircraft recovers, our airhill action begins as we kick off this nearly 5-hour flying display featuring some of the world's finest aerobatic aviators and, of course, members of our United States military. In just a couple of moments, we're going to be welcoming to our show that of Undaunted Air Shows. They consist that of two gentlemen. Their names are Stephen Christopher and Todd Rudberg, and together they make that of the Undaunted Air Shows team. They are flying for us what are known as experimental Vans RV aircraft. No, they don't stand for recreational vehicle, but rather for Richard Vans Groosman, a guy who designed the initial RV-1 aircraft back during the mid-1960s. Today, they have become some of the most popular home-built experimental aircraft in the world, with over 11,000 built. We'll tell you more about that here in just a couple of moments. As we have a couple of moments and we get the HC-130J clear of our runway, I'd like to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about our aerial stage. Here this weekend at Nellis Air Force Base, we have our aerobatic box, and it's all of the maneuvers that you have seen here today are examples of those flown by our operational air crews on a regular basis, as they provide highly responsive and flexible air refueling capability for America. They hope you've enjoyed today's performance. Please like and follow the team on Facebook and on Instagram, and be sure to tag your posts at KC46 Demo Team. This concludes today's demonstration, and on behalf of the men and women of the United States Air Force, Air Education and Training Command, and Altus Air Force Base in Oklahoma, they thank you for being with us today and hope you've enjoyed this brief look at the KC-46A Pegasus, America's newest aero refueler, which will continue to provide rapid global mobility for America today, tomorrow, and well into the 21st century. Ladies and gentlemen, for the 2025 Aviation Nation Air Show, let's give it up for the KC-46 Pegasus. Well, right now, ladies and gentlemen, as our aerial action continues here at Aviation Nation 2025, it is time that we prepare to launch members of our combined arms demonstration. They are on the takeoff roll now. First to the perch, the F-16 Fighting Falcons, better known as the Vipers of the 64th Aggressor Squadron. They are followed by the F-16 Fighting Falcons and the 422 Test and Evaluation Squadron. Next, the newest 5th generation stealth fighter for the U.S. Air Force, the F-35A Lightning IIs. Also from the 422 Test and Evaluation Squadron, the F-15E Strike Eagles. The aircraft will be joined by that of the HH-60 Pavehawk helicopters, the Jollies, from the 88th Test and Evaluation Squadron, as they now lift from the Jolly pad located to our left. Also on the takeoff roll, the A-10 Thunderbolt IIs, better known as the Warthogs. As our aircraft now make their way to their designated holding points, our combined arms demonstration will take place in a couple of minutes from now. Right now, as we get our CAD players up to altitude, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the rest of our day and what's coming up next here on the flying display here at our Saturday edition of Aviation Nation 2025. In just a few moments, we're going to be welcoming to a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our PJs successfully working their way into the landing environment. High overhead, enemy aggression is inbound. With the enemy aggressor force high overhead, they continue to take over the Allied airfield. Friendly ground forces are forced now to take cover. As they face the threat of being overrun and losing their position, the friendly forces have called in air support from the world's preeminent air power, the United States Air Force. As the aggressor enemy aircraft continue their attacks overhead, the call is received and the fighter support is scrambled to support the friendly ground forces. In response to the enemy air attacks, the F-22 air superiority fighters launched to intercept the enemy aircraft. The F-22, a fifth-generation air combat fighter, flies to intercept the enemy aggressor aircraft as they now seek to chase off or engage and intercept and neutralize these aggressors. As you'll witness in this next pass, the pilot's air-to-air combat skills will be put to the test as the two Raptors engage the two enemy fighters before your very eyes. Utilizing superior aircraft performance and unmatched pilot training, the adversaries are no match for the U.S. Air Force's F-22 Raptors. From the left, the dogfight begins. The Raptor pilots have successfully neutralized the enemy aircraft, and they've achieved their goal, air superiority. With this established, the friendly forces now enjoy freedom of movement throughout the skies. However, the tactical situation on the ground is still challenging as the enemy continues to engage friendly troops to the east side of the airfield. The Air Force Tactical Control Party Joint Terminal Attack Controller, JTAC, will utilize Air Force interdiction and close air support aircraft to neutralize those enemy force aircraft. To the right, the PJs have established the wounded in action, but the casualties need to be evacuated to a higher level of medical care. In this simulated battle, the JTAC requests rescue HH-60 helicopters and escorting fighter aircraft to facilitate the medical evacuation of the wounded personnel. The rescue mission commander organizing the forces determines a game plan to pick up these simulated injured personnel. And prior to the pickup, the JTAC mission commander and the strikers will work to neutralize any and all other remaining enemy forces to ensure a safe passage for the rescue helicopters. Escorted overhead by the A-10s and F-15Es, the rescue helicopters ingress to the casualty pickup point. The rescue helicopters will work their way into the established helicopter landing zone to land and pick up the friendly wounded ground forces and the PJ team. With the PJs and the injured safely inside the HH-60 helicopter and all members are safe, the HH-60 crew will make a call to the rescue mission package and they egress the area with the fighters continuing their escort above. Enemy forces are now effectively 100% neutralized. The HH-60s and the PJ team can now enjoy freedom of movement over the airfield. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for our Air Force combat airmen. Over the course of the next several minutes, you will see the diverse array of participating aircraft in this combined arms demonstration recover here to Nellis Air Force Base. In a few moments from now, we will see a couple of dissimilar formations approach of 5 aircraft, each with their own unique capabilities, representing a variety of units based here at Nellis Air Force Base. They represent that of the 422 Test and Evaluation Squadron, the 64th Aggressor Squadron, and the 88th Test and Evaluation Squadron, as we bring it back home, that of the A-10 Warthogs. The F-Stein, he's climbing now, a guy who's got over 5,000 hours of aerobatic and formation time and is regarded as one of the finest air show entertainers in the world. Bill Stein began flying aerobatics when he was just a student pilot and has been dedicated to perfecting his skills ever since. He's been performing on the air show circuit for more than 30 years and even flew on tour with the famed Red Baron Pizza Squadron. Today, he's going to be ringing it out as we see a display of high-energy, bone-crushing aerobatics. Bill Stein, the recipient of the ICAS Sword of Excellence, and most recently, in December of 2021, was the recipient of the coveted Art Show Memorial Showmanship Award. Bill Stein begins his power aerobatic routine for us from about 1,500 feet above the ground for what is known as his air start. You can see the smoke come on. This in the American-made superplane, the Zivco Edge 540. Ladies and gentlemen, look high and overhead and ensure those tray tables and seat belts are in the upright and locked position. Here's Bill Stein. With a 10G pull into the vertical, we're going to watch him as he climbs skyward, running out of airspeed, as he will soon be dropping this airplane out of the sky. Watch him as he goes through this, the knife edge spin, dropping this aircraft out of the air at some 4,000 feet per minute. That airplane no longer flying, but falling with style, as he now reconnects with the air with a series of high-performance aileron rolls to get things going. Bill Stein, as I mentioned, one of the best aerobatic pilots any place, and by far one of the most friendly. He has incredible credentials as an aerobatic coach, a formation pilot, and as a solo aerobatic performer as he completes this, the Nicolator. We're going to watch him now. We talk a lot about G-forces and the amount of G's that these aerobatic pilots pull. During Bill Stein's routine, he will experience about 12 times the force of gravity positive as he now goes up and over the top. Watch for the tumbles. There's one, there's two, holding it to the inverted for a maneuver he likes to call the Chandalanche, named in remembrance of Shandy Clanton, the great aerobatic pilot. We talk about those G-forces, 12 times the force of gravity. If you're a 200-pound person like I am, you'd then weigh 2,400 pounds in that cockpit. These Zivco Edge 540s built for one purpose and one purpose only, and it's the type of high-energy aerobatic flying that we are seeing right now. This aircraft capable of a roll rate of over 400 degrees a second. Bill's passion for precision flying is evident in every single maneuver that he performs. To the mighty AV-8B Harrier II of the United States Marine Corps, a jet that's going to retire here in the next couple of months. But watch him as he slows the airplane down to park, putting on the pause button, turning this airplane into a helicopter. Take a look at that. Zero airspeed indicated right there. Just the power of the engine, the propeller, and the skill of Bill Stein keeping him in one spot in the sky. And right about it here, he hits the unpause button. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Bill Stein and the Harrier Pass. He wants to thank his sponsors. They are Lycon Aircraft Engines, CJ Aviation, Champion Aerospace, Hartzell Propeller, Goodyear Aviation, Softy Emergency Parachutes, B&C Specialty Products, Spot GPS Systems, and Two Bro Aviation. coming by for his final maneuver. He likes to call this slideways flight. Giving you a look at that big oversized rudder on the Zivco Edge. The aircraft of choice for the Red Bull Air Race World Championships that ran for many, many years up until 2019. And of course, we'll see more Zivco Edge flying later on in our show with our buddy Kirby Chambliss. He has been cleared to land. How about one final round of applause there, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Bill Stein and the Zivco Edge 540. Well, ladies and gentlemen of Las Vegas, I've got a quick question for you. Are you having a good time? Decent, not great. It is indeed an outdoor event. You can indeed use your outdoor voices. Let's try that one more time. Are you, Las Vegas, having a good time? Yeah, that's what we like to hear, us too. Here's what's going to happen, everybody. Our air boss, Kelly Hudson, is working now to secure our airspace as we are just a couple of moments away from welcoming to Aviation Nation 2025 the U.S. Air Force's F-22 Raptor demonstration team. Today flown by Captain Nick Lazlaturno. We are going to see the full maneuvering capabilities of America's premier fifth-generation fighter. Laz, an experienced fighter pilot, now in his first year as the commander and pilot. 2005, with only a limited number of them produced, making it a rare and powerful asset to our United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time. Please welcome the narrator of today's F-22 Raptor flight demonstration from Joint Base Langley Eustis in Hampton Roads, Virginia. Please make welcome Master Sergeant Brady Pummel. Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear it all the way up and down the line for your United States Air Force's F-22 Raptor. Oh, yeah. And let that extend to the narrator of today's demonstration, Master Sergeant Brady Pummel, and to the official Raptor DJ, Technical Sergeant Eric Tullman, bringing some serious thunder to Aviation Nation 2025. Captain Nick Laz Letourneau making his way back in. Be sure to give him a big wave as he taxis back into his parking area, as we again want to continue to say a very big thank you to many of our partners who have stepped up in a big way to make this weekend possible. We want to say thanks to our friends at the Nevada Energy Foundation and Lockheed Martin, to One Nevada Credit Union, Clark County, Caesars Entertainment and Resorts World, to BAC Systems, Amentum, to Western Mortgage, Armed Forces Bank, the Boeing Company, and First Command Financial Services, to John's Moles Meat, to Squadron Flight Shop Transition Careers, as well as the Thunderbird chapter of the Air and Space Association. A big shout out to the Formula One Las Vegas Grand Prix. They're located here today in the Inspire exhibit, located to the south end of the field. Also, a big thank you to Victory Capital, on site, ready to help you achieve your financial goals. Visit them today at the sponsorship booth area, where you can start investing and grab your free one-of-a-kind wooden airplane to celebrate Aviation Nation. We say thanks to Victory Capital for their support. Also, thanks to Raising Cane's. Be sure to stop by any of their 17 locations around Las Vegas to support the Nellis 99th 4th Support Squadron. Mention Air Show and they'll donate 15% of sales back to the 99th FSS, supporting the Air Show this weekend. Also, thanks to D.R. Horton. If you're looking for a new home, D.R. Horton's Red Tag New Home Sales event is happening now. Stop by the D.R. Horton booth to learn more about their incredible pricing on select Red Tag homes. No federal endorsement is intended. Well, as we get the F-5E Tiger II on the ground, flown by retired Brigadier General Tommy Williams, call sign limiter, our aerial action continues. Of course, it was the F-5 that saw a little bit of limited service during the Vietnam War, being flown by a variety of allied nations as well, and also served for many, many years as an aggressor, as part of the aggressor squadrons here at Nellis Air Force Base, and of course supporting the efforts of exercises such as Red Flag that provide that real-to-life combat environment. And they implemented the use of F-5Es throughout the years. The exercise of Red Flag, in fact, celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. Well, as we get the F-22 Raptor and the F-5 Tiger clear of the runway, taking off now to the right. I'm going to pull the music back so we can listen. Vicky Benzing and the P-51 Mustang. Vicky's aerobatic flying took a back seat while pursuing her PhD in